Hello everybody, welcome to another Vintage Cube Draft with Benny Hills. I have two pieces of good news and one piece of bad news. The bad news is that it's really hot and I just got back from a run, so I couldn't bear to not put on a fan during this draft. So I'll try and speak loudly, but I'm sorry if that's in the background being a bit annoying. But on the topic of sound, a piece of good news, this is my last draft without a mic. My mic will be here tomorrow, and so from this point on, I think the sound quality will be hopefully a lot better. So yeah, definitely let me know if that's the case, and there'll maybe some kinks to work out with the microphone, but yep, there's that. And then thirdly, I don't remember what that was. Maybe I only had two things. All right, here we go. Oh, this isn't what that thing was, but I do have one thing to say. So right now, I'm not like making money from these videos, and that's fine. Like that's not my goal, but I am paying to have them edited, and like I don't need this to be like a big income thing, but I'd prefer it to not be like a great cost to be making these. And so, again, like at the beginning of this video, I shared my Venmo. It's Benjamin-Hill-4. And if anyone could toss me a couple bucks, I would really appreciate it. Totally don't have to, and I will keep making them even if it is at a financial cost to me, just because I love doing it and I think it's like a fun thing to do for the community. But yeah, there's that. Oh, I remember what my other announcement was. I put my face on the left side for the draft. I also don't know exactly how much space that takes up, so if it's covering up this card, I'm sorry. Hopefully it's better than covering up two cards over here, but let me know and we'll try and work it out to find a good long-term system. Alright, on to this pack. Not great. Yeah, it's definitely not a phenomenal pack. There's a couple cards that I'm mostly deciding between. Pestermite is a fine place to start. I do think Splinter Twin, Blue-Red Twin is a very strong deck, and this is a piece of it. It's probably the worst piece because it's easy to remove, and there's more of this half of the combo than the Kiki Twin half. So not great, but it's fine. Is Signet is solid. Blue-Red's a very good combination. It's cheap artifact. It fixes your mana, so this is definitely a strong consideration. And then finally, Prismatic Vista is just great fixing, fits in any color combination, leaves you very open. I think I'm leaning towards this Izzet Signet here. It just sets up a lot of good stuff, and like I've said before, Blue-Red is a very powerful combination, so we'll go with this. And then, unfortunately, just know that Blue-Red Twin will probably not be open. Okay, so this makes us want to be Izzet, and one of the best things you can do there is be a blue-based combo deck, and this is the other blue-based combo, or, I mean, it's a red combo, but it's better in blue decks. We could just slam this through the breach, and if this was a sneak attack, I think we would do it, because I do think this combo is pretty good, but this one's quite a bit worse than sneak attack, and it's also only good in a specific type of deck, and so I'm more interested in these two cards here. Both great, both cheap, both very sort of universally effective, and there's two heuristics that are reasonable to go by. One is always seek the cheaper card, and one of them is always seek the interaction, and unfortunately in this case they are contradictory, but I think we're going to go with the interaction. I love Remand. It's just great in combo decks, great in control decks, pretty splashable, so even if we're not super heavy blue, we can play this, and it's just a pretty sweet card. So we'll take this, and be sad not to get the preordained, but I still think this is a pretty good start. Ooh, okay, so multiple good options here. I like Probe a decent amount. It's sort of may look like filler, but there's a lot of synergies with it. It's good if you get Snapcaster Mage, and you can just turn one Probe, turn two Snap Probe if you want to, draw a card and get some pressure down, and it's great with Young Pyromancer, great with Delve cards, so I do like this card quite a bit. Also a Signet. This Signet is one of the last good Signets, because if we're playing green, we'll have other sources of mana around, but still can't go wrong with another blue Signet. Hallowed Fountain. I do think Jeskai has a pretty good color combination, and it's just good to take blue dual lands early. Inferno Titan. I think this is a great top-end card. It's great when you're behind, cleans up a lot of it. Like, if you're on the defensive, it can clean up the board very well, and if you're on the offensive, it can really close the game out pretty quickly. But I think I'm going to go with Fiery Confluence. I just think this card is busted, so underrated. We have a pull to be red, and yeah, I just think this card is absolutely phenomenal. I just filmed a pick order video that probably won't be out by the time this one comes out. I filmed it yesterday, but if that is out, you'll know that this is in the top 50 in a pretty high slot. I believe it's the #1 red card, and I definitely think it deserves that spot. If we'd gone so it looks like green is fairly open, and if we had taken the Simic Signet, we could go with Wrenn and 6 here. Temur is not a super common color combination, but I do think it can be good, and this card is pretty powerful, but we're going to take this Scalding Tarn here. Perfect land for us to get. It's a fetch in both of our colors. we can prioritize things that play well with fetches, like Brainstorm a bit more highly now, and just a great card. Seasoned Pyromancer is fine. I don't think it's great in like I'm hoping this will be base blue, and I don't think Seasoned Pyromancer is as good in base blue. And Jace is solid; it's just decent card draw. But we'll go with the Tarn here. No, neither of those two cards are strong enough that make me really want to get them. All right, this is going to be a great Snapcaster deck. I bet blue-red is the best Snapcaster Mage combination. You have a lot of cheap burn spells and cheap cantrips that are good. You can play Snapcaster Cryptic or Snapcaster Mystic Confluence, and that is nice, but you want this card ideally in a deck with a lot of cheap spells. So, and also in red, the damage can matter more. Like if you have stuff like Fiery Confluence to burn them out for 6, just chipping in for 2 a couple turns the Snapcaster can be very relevant. So, definitely a really great pickup here. Yeah, really happy to get a Snapcaster Mage. So we'll be on the lookout for Ponder, Preordained type cards. I mean, the Preordained will probably not come around, but Ponder. Okay. I've never really had success with this sort of deck, but I do think Blue-Red Aggro is a fun deck if you can make it work. If we had like instead of the Signet, a Lightning Bolt or a cheap cantrip, that would maybe be a consideration, but I don't think that's really the direction we're going. Again, there's a Celestial Colonnade for going into Jeskai, but we don't really have any reason to do that at this point. We just passed the Hallowed Fountain, and who knows if we'll get it back. Oh, probably not. So I think I'm leaning toward taking the Repeal here. Just a solid interactive piece, very good against tokens, potentially good with Snapcaster. You can also repeal your own Snapcaster Mage for some nice value. We could go 2-1 flashback at Instant Sorcery Tribal with Direfleet Daredevil. But I think it is probably smart to take the Breeding Pool here. I don't think green is necessarily the most likely splash, but it's just a late dual land and potentially a signal that we can move in. I mean, we're not wed red. We could still become blue-green, and this sets up if we get an Oko, we could play that. Ancient Grudge, we could play that. And the other option, I don't love Frost Titan. I do actually think it's better in blue-red than in other decks because just hitting them for 6 is going to close the game pretty quickly. And there's also Elspeth, which I do like quite a bit. But I think we should take the blue duel here. It's very late Breeding Pool, so potentially a good sign. Okay, no blue cards here. Avalanche Riders is fine, but this is probably going to be a deck that's going into the late game, and that makes Mana Denial a bit less effective. We could take Tar Pit, but we have no black cards and no other black fixing, and it's not fetchable with our Scalding Tarn. We could take Vivian Reed. It's a fairly late Vivian Reed, and although it's not particularly good in what we have going on now, it is just a pretty good card. I think I'm going to go with the Tar Pit. I don't think Vivian is really the direction we want to go. We're trying to be pretty spell heavy, and I do think just having Alice to play lots of colors can be nice. Alright, I think I'm just going to take a Lightning Strike here. It's not amazing, but especially when you have Snapcaster Mage, it's nice to have a couple cheap burn spells to just use as cheap removal, keep Planeswalkers down, and close out the game sometimes. So not thrilled about this card, and there's definitely, I think Needle Spires is also a reasonable pickup here, but I think I'm going to go with the Strike. Ooh, okay. Alright, I think I'm actually going to take a Johnny Vengeance here. This deck is a bit all over the place at the moment, and we just don't really know what our colors are, but I think this is pretty late at Johnny Vengeance, and I feel a little bit sad not to have some white fixing at this point, but white does appear to be pretty open, so I think we'll take this and start moving on that and try and get the fixing from here. Okay. Don't really want Concealed Courtyard. Elspeth is a bit heavy. I guess we'll go with the Elspeth over the Thraben Inspector. It's probably going to be slightly better for us. Okay, maybe we should just be in mono white, honestly. I've done so many mono white drafts, but I don't really want to do this again, but it's clearly the open deck. Like, why? Okay. So the question here is, do people watch my drafts for good advice on how to do well, or for fun, splashy things? I do actually think there's a good chance if our only goal is to get a trophy, we would just full pivot to mono white now, but I just don't want to do that. I've already done 3 mono white drafts, and that just seems a bit excessive. Like, do let me know in the comments if, like, again, I'm just going to say right now, I think if our only goal was the trophy, we would just totally go into mono white. I think that's the case. Not particularly good mono white here, but it's super, super open. But I just don't really want to do that. So instead, we'll take a more fun card, which is Teferi. I do think we could end up. I could definitely imagine sending up like blue, red, splashing white for a couple Planeswalkers, Jeskai, and I think that can be a really sweet and fun deck. Yeah, so we'll go with this, and then Fire Ice, Lightning Bolt, Arid Mesa, Sharp Typhoon, all cards we would love to wheel. Maybe even Disenchant. Disenchant probably will come back around. There's also Kiki Jiki, so whoever took that Pestermite we didn't take first pack will be happy, but we'll take a Teferi here. Okay, so some solid options here. I like Karn a lot. We don't have particularly great mana acceleration, but it's just a good card. There's Walking Ballista, which is good. Wall of Omens is good at protecting Planeswalkers. Phantasmal Image is just a great card. And then Library of Alexandria is just so good. It's not at its best in this sort of deck, but I think it's still the card that we're going to take here. It's just, the ceiling is so high on this card. And the floor is not that low. We might have somewhat intense color requirements, but this card is just so good in the right situations. I don't really want to pass it in this situation. There's a Thalia, there's a Gideon, there's a Skull Clamp. But there's also a Sacred Foundry, and I think that'll be pretty good for us. Charter Course is also solid, but I like that this is fetchable with Scalding Tarn. Now Scalding Tarn is a tri-land, and at this point I definitely do want to play white if at all possible. These Planeswalkers are a pretty strong pull. Also Force Negation is good. I doubt either of these blue cards will wheel, but we would be happy if they did. So I think we're going to take Sacred Foundry and try and wheel Gideon, Allied Zendikar. End up with little Jeskai Super Friends action. Okay, I'll take a Glen here. I like this card quite a bit. We have one remand, but that's not really enough kind of magic, and this card is just great. I love Glen. It's so effective against a lot of decks. It's great against Storm, great against Control. It can trade against aggro. We could take, Shinobi is an amazing card. And Looter Core is fine. I actually like Wear and Tear a lot. That's probably the card we're going to try and wheel from this pack. If you can play both halves of this, it's amazing. And even if you just play the red half, it's still honestly playable in a lot of decks. But we're not going to take it over Glen. We'll take Glen and try and wheel the Wear and Tear. Ooh. Super happy to get a Tundra, especially having already passed the Hallowed Fountain. Yeah, there's not even any real competition in this pack. Golos could maybe be good. Golos would be pretty good. We have green and black sources already, so I would like a Golos, and I would probably take this over a decent number of cards, but not over Tundra. This is awesome. So we have 2 out of the 3 fetchable lands, so now fetch lands that are even just partial land color are going to be awesome, and the Steam Vents would be great too, but we don't need that. Okay, we'll take an Oblivion Ring. Blue and red don't really have good ways to answer Planeswalkers, and so a splashable white way to do that is pretty great. I still think there's been good mono white cards in every single pack, so there is that. But I do like Oblivion Ring quite a bit. Also, it's a 3-drop. We don't have any 3-drops. That's not the most important consideration, but it's something. So here we have, we could just take another Oblivion Ring effect or an Impulse. I think I like taking Impulse slightly more, given that we already have Snapcaster Mage and we just took the Oblivion Ring. And I also think there's a chance that Banishing Light comes back. Legion's Landing will definitely come back, and white is very open, so there's a chance this does as well, although it's probably a bit unlikely. Either way, I'm pretty happy taking an Impulse. We don't have a ton of card draw, so this is a nice card to pick up. This pack is sort of a brick. I don't think we're very likely to be playing black, unless we get Golos back, but I don't think we will. This is not great for us, no blue cards. Dreadhorde Arcanist does nothing right now for us. Actually, I guess it could flashback or appeal to bounce a token, but it's not good for us, really. But I think this is still the pick. There's a world where this becomes quite good if we pick up, certainly Ancestral, or even just some cantrips and some 1-mana burn spells, so we'll take that and maybe end up playing it. Ooh, I do love Disenchant quite a bit, but I think we're going to go with Fire Ice here. This is a really late Fire Ice, and we can cast both halves, just very versatile. Yeah, I just love this card. And if we don't wheel the Wear and Tear, we'll be sad not to have the Disenchant for sure. So hopefully we can wheel it, but even if we don't wheel it, this is probably better. It's just very versatile. Alright, That's a late Phantasmal Image. We'll definitely take this. It doesn't combo with much that we have right now, although it is quite good with Glenn, because it can come back with Persist and copy Glenn again, or copy another threat later in the game. I would like a Pyroclasm, and I would take this over a lot of stuff, but I think this will actually be quite good for us. And we also have Fiery Confluence already as a sort of way to deal with a bunch of small creatures, and Fire Ice to a lesser extent. Okay, we'll take the Gideon. Depending on how our mana ends up looking, it may or may not make the cut, but we do have 3 white sources already, and it's looking like we're going to be heavy blue with relatively minimal red, so we could end up just being blue-white splash red instead of blue-red splash white. And as I've mentioned before, I like having a lot of Planeswalkers. Oh man, I think this was the Wear Tear pack, so bummer to not get that back. We'll take Angrass Rampage just in case we end up somehow splashing black. I don't think any of the... I guess Beast Within. Yeah, no Wear Tear for us, sadly. But Chain Lightning is fine. Solid removal spell that's good to flashback with Snapcaster Mage. Take Vortex. Maybe there's a world where that's good out of the board. And we did not get the Banishing Light last pick, but that's fine. I still like where we're at. Nice. Got a Mox. It's not on color, and there is a Polluted Delta, which I would love to get, but we're still going to take the Mox. Yeah, as I showed in 2 videos ago, I will take other cards over Power sometimes, but Polluted Delta, Resto, Gideon, none of those are quite good enough to justify that. Alright, so we have Daze, Thirst for Knowledge. There is Embrace Shieldbreaker if we really wanted artifact removal, but it's not great. There's Chrome Mox and Windswept Heath. A lot of options here. I think the best bet is to go with Windswept Heath. It can fetch Tundra or Sacred Foundry, so that's pretty sweet. We already have 16 cards that are quite strong, and yeah, I think the next best card is probably Chrome Mox, but we don't have a bunch of big card draw spells like Consecrated Sphinx or things like that, so I think taking a Windswept Heath is good here. This is tough. There's a Seachrome Coast, which is just solid fixing. There's Elspeth Conquers Death, which I do like quite a bit. There's Ancestral Vision, which is very strong, and Council Judgment, which is a great removal spell. I think there's a good chance that one of these two comes back if we take neither, and I'm not sure which one we would prefer, but they're basically equally powerful for us. So I think we're going to take Ancestral here. We have solid mana right now. We don't have a ton of card draw. In terms of cards that draw us more than just a cantrip, we really don't have anything. I mean, Teferi draws a lot of cards, but that's it. So I like this card, and who knows, we might end up getting enough other things to make the Dreadhorde Arcanist work, because these two certainly do work very well together. This is not a great pack for us. There's Gush if we're desperate for card draw, but I don't think we're there. Enlightened Tutor doesn't hit too much. I mean, Mox, Signet, and Oblivion Ring is fine, but not great. Recruiter of the Guard can find... Actually, Recruiter seems... Actually, yeah, I think Recruiter seems pretty good. It can find Snapcaster Mage, Phantasmal Image, and Glenlundra, which is not a ton of targets, but they're all pretty good ones. It's annoying that it can't find Dreadhorde Arcanist in case we do end up going that direction, but I still think it's the pick here. Also, we don't have many 3s, and what is it over? I mean, none of these other cards are great. Actually, Lightning Helix would be good. Lightning Helix is definitely a card we would be happy to take, so hopefully we can build that, but I still think I would rather take Recruiter over it. Yeah, I think that's correct. Well, you can complete the fetchable lands trifecta. I think that is the pick here. There's other reasonable options. Dismember's a good removal spell. Unexpected Absence a good removal spell. Lingering Souls with this Creeping Tar Pit could make the cut, but this definitely just makes our mana a decent amount better. Just having another land to fetch with Scalding Tarn and just being dual land on its own. So our mana's starting to look very good. Happy about that for sure. Ooh, late Mana Leak. I would love to get a Path, but I would rather Mana Leak. We don't have a ton of counter magic, and counter magic is very important, and I guess we don't have amazing creature removal either. We don't have any board sweepers, which is unfortunate, but I just like Leak a lot. I think this is a great interactive spell, so I'll take that. Also good with Snapcaster Mage. Okay, this pack is pretty bad for us. I don't think we can really make Toxic Deluge work, although the effect would be a very nice one to have. Yeah, these are all pretty bad. I don't think we're playing any of these cards. I guess... Yeah, I really just don't even know. I guess we'll take Wildfire. There could be some matchups where we want this in, like against green decks that have a low land count and no artifact mana. We don't have a ton of artifact mana ourselves, but we have a bit. But yeah, definitely a brick in the pack. We're not gonna really play any of that. Okay, another sort of brick here. Gideon and Brightling are both not really where we want to be. They take a lot of white mana. If Brightling could be fetched by Recruiter of the Guard, that would be a consideration. We could just take Magus of the Moon. Yeah, I think we'll take this. There will be some matchups where they have really greedy mana bases, and this is pretty good. We can find it with Recruiter. Oh, wow. So I would love to take... Oh, I think at this point Elspeth Knight is in here. I would love to take Inspiring Vantage or Winds of Abandon. These are both quite good, but I think... Well, actually, sorry. My point was I would love to take Inspiring Vantage for the mana, but I think we should take a spell because I don't really want to play any of these cards, and I do want to make sure I have enough spells. So we'll go with a Gideon here. Round out our Planeswalker suite pretty well, and just gives us another playable that we're definitely happy to play, another win condition. Alright, does Flicker Wisp do anything here? It is fetchable with Recruiter of the Guard. It's decent with Planeswalkers. Sort of nice to Phantasmal potentially, and I don't think Godless Shrine does anything for us, so we'll take a Flicker Wisp here. It's not great. I would prefer not to play it, but... Oh, wow, these both came back. So now we have to decide. That's hard. Celtic Judgment is cheaper, which is nice, but we have actually a lot of cheap interaction, and we don't have a ton of top-end stuff. We only have 2 cards that cost more than 4, so I think I like taking the Elspeth Conqueror's Death here. And actually, it plays very well with Flicker Wisp, so now Flicker Wisp is looking a lot better. And since we have Recruiter, we basically have 2 copies of Flicker Wisp, so there's a good chance we'll be able to flicker this. And this card, for anyone who's played and constructed with this in Yorion, if you can just flicker this when it's on the 2nd chapter, that's awesome. We'll take Enlightened Tutor. This is actually probably still not making the main deck, but it looks a lot better now that we also have Elspeth Conqueror's Death defined with it. Wow. Crazy that this is still going, that we know that someone has some twin pieces. But we'll take Unexpectedly Absent. That's a pretty nice pickup. Oh, I forget what it was. There's some card I was hoping to wheel out of this pack. I was hoping that the White Drafter would take the Giver over it, but whatever. Alright, so we actually ended up with 24 cards, which is nice. We have a cut to make now. So we definitely are blue-white. Like, we have red as the splash color now, but we're definitely not cutting Fiery Confluence. We could cut one of these burn spells, Lightning Strike or Chain Lightning. I think that probably is what we're going to cut. I guess we could also just cut the Flicker Wisp, but I do like it enough with Elspeth Conqueror's Death that I think it's worth playing. So we'll cut the Lightning Strike. There's some matchups where instant speed is more important than being 1 mana cheaper, but in general I think being 1 mana cheaper is probably going to be the more relevant consideration here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 blue sources right now. 1, 2, 3, 4 white. 1, 2, 3, 4 red. Okay. And then 11 sources to add. Do we need a basic mountain? I guess Izzet Signet is another one, but we probably do want 1 mountain. And then maybe 6 islands, 4 plains. Whoa, they're suggesting a lot of mountains. I do not want to do that. Let's see. This gives us 9 blue, and yeah, no, we want more blue. We have so, like, all of our 2 mana cards are blue, so it's important to have that early. Is this enough white, though? Because it is relevant that Izzet Signet doesn't make white, so we have an extra blue and end source. But these are all sort of later game cards. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 white. It's a bit light, and we do have a lot of double white requirements. I actually think I'm just going to cut the mountain. That's a bit aggressive, going down to only 4 red sources, but it's actually 5 because it is at Signet, and other than, I mean, yeah, we only have 3 red cards that have to be red. This can be red, but we can just, if we don't have red, that's fine. Chain Lightning is Yeah. This mana base is a bit worse than I thought. Having the library definitely makes it a bit worse, but I still think this is good. So, yeah, we'll run this. Alright, we're back and we have our opponent, so we'll hop on in for match one with this pretty cool Jeskai control deck. Not totally broken, but I think it's good. Lots of cheap interaction, solid Planeswalker suite, Library of Alexandria is always nice, one Mox. Alright, this is definitely a keep. We have, this can fetch our Sacred Foundry, so we don't have double red or double white right now, but we do have mana for Chain Lightning and Glen, and I mean, we have lots of lands to draw that will unlock these, so I feel pretty good about this. And we are just going to fetch on turn one. There's a decent chance we'll want to use red mana on turn two, and I don't want to pay life if we can avoid it. There's actually some consideration of playing Breeding Pool also, so that this can fetch a second blue. But we don't have that many double blue cards, and the 2 life could be relevant against a lot of decks, so I think it is solid to just not play that. Let's grab that Sacred Foundry. Hopefully draw a white or red source. Alright, that's a great draw. Still don't have Gideon online, but we do have Fiery Confluence online, and depending on what they fetch and what they do, we could maybe play Glen next turn. If they fetch a white land, I don't love that because they could just path or swords it, which would not be great, but otherwise, I feel okay about just jamming that. Are they going to Spell Pierce us? Oh, Ancestral. That's not fair. Did they mulligan though? Sort of looks like they did. Yeah, they did mulligan, so I mean they don't have, they play something they don't have to discard a hand size, which is sort of nice for them. Devoted Druid, sure. Okay, against the start, I do think I'm just gonna get the. You have two options. We could either Chain Lightning that or Phantasm Limit it and Chain Lightning it, or just play the Glen, or just play Chain Lightning and not do anything else, or not copy it because I do like the idea of Phantasm Limit and Glen. Yeah, actually, we're not gonna copy this. The question is if we want to play Glen and let them have 5 mana next turn, or just Chain Lightning this and. I think it's actually worth it to just Chain Lightning this. It would be pretty awkward if we played Glen, didn't have a mana up, and then they just played a 5-drop Planeswalker. So it's an inefficient use of mana, but I think that's the right line here. So really hoping we draw a land so we can play Glen and then hold up at activation. Manamorphose, sure. Just a cantrip, I assume. Or, okay, maybe fixing them into like Raphellos or something. Paladin Leroy. Okay, that's definitely scary. If we draw a land, then I feel okay about things. Otherwise, we might just have to Fiery Confluence to kill this. Okay. So I do think we're just going to play our Glen here. They have 5 mana right now. Could go to 6, so they could play like a Primeval Titan. But the thing is, Glen can counter a non-creature, and Phantasmal Image can copy a creature. So we sort of have our bases pretty well covered right now. And then if they don't do anything scary this turn, we'll probably just Glen our own, or Image our Glen, and just have their non-creature spells unlocked for a long time. Also, if they're playing 3 colors, it makes it less likely that they have a bunch of like huge creatures. So that's good. Maybe this Glen will put in some work. Elder Deranged Hermit. Okay, that is not a problem at all. Actually, ooh, this is amazing. Yeah, we can just Fiery Confluence to deal 1 damage to everything, and it'll kill their whole board. Oh, that's a bit scary. So they can add 6 mana. Let's see what they play here. Fauna Shaman. Okay. Tireless Tracker. Okay. So at this point, we're definitely Fiery Confluencing for 2. Unfortunately, we have to kill our own Glen, but it'll come back. And then if we really need more Glens, we can copy it. So let's just note, every single time we play Fiery Confluence, let's see if we could have won the game without it. I bet we could not win. I bet we will win this game pretty easily now, and we would have lost if we didn't have the Confluence here. They can just draw cards with this, filter them into better cards with this, beat us down with this, have mana with this. Like, all 4 of their cards play different roles, and they're very good in their respective role, and Fiery Confluence can deal with all of them. So, 2 damage to each creature, 2 damage to them. Yep. Unfortunately, we cannot play our Phantasmal Image because we do want to hold up Glenn, but this also sets them back down to 3 mana instead of like infinite mana. So if we draw White Source, we can play Gideon. Otherwise, I think if we don't draw anything we're going to cast, okay, Island was not good there. I think we are just going to copy our Glenlundra here. And then we'll sack the Phantasmal Image first, probably, if they cast something that we want to counter. Nice, okay. This was like the only spell we cast, pretty much. I just want to note that. Fiery Confluence, incredible card. Very, very happy we picked that up so early. So it does look like they're basically mono green splashing just for Ancestral. So something to keep in mind. That means we want to bring in our creature removal for sure. It is a bummer that we don't have better sweepers. I kind of want to play Wildfire. We definitely want Lightning Strike though. Oh, they just disconnected? Are they just quitting? Hopefully not. We're going to sideboard as though they're not, and then if they are, I'll just have to wait 10 minutes and I'll pause the video and life will go on. Containment Priest actually could be good here. I think that's a card we want, especially since we have another way to find it with the Recruiter. What do we not want? I really think that we're not going to play this game, actually. But I'm still going to talk this through, just so if you're ever in this position, you know what my recommendations are on how to board. I think I'm going to cut Elspeth. It's our worst Planeswalker, and we're on the draw, and they can pressure it pretty well, and like it's really bad against Questing Beast. Yeah, I think we'll cut an Elspeth. We definitely want to bring another Mountain. We'll cut an Island for Mountain, since Fire Confluence is very important, and we brought in another red card. I don't think we're going to bring Wildfire. Like, we're on the draw. We don't have much acceleration. It sets us back a lot, too. So, yeah, we won't bring that in, even though it is a powerful effect against them. And then for the last cut, probably Flicker Wisp. It is good. Well, it is a combo with Containment Priest, because if you flicker their thing, then when it comes back in, it gets exiled instead, so it turns Flicker Wisp into a removal spell. So in light of that, we probably should be playing both of these. We could maybe cut a Repeal on the draw, it's just a bit slow. Or an Ancestral, also slow. But we don't have much card draw. I don't really want to cut Ancestral. I think I'm going to cut a Repeal. This card is just always good, but rarely great, and I just think all the other cards are a bit more important for our game plan. So we'll submit this and see if we end up actually having a match. Oh, they did join the game. Oh, alright, never mind. So they're here. Fortunately, we gotta ship this one. This is good. We will keep and put back. We could put back Chain Lightning because we don't have a red source, but I think we're going to put back Gideon. This is a very good card in the matchup. We could just draw a red source, and even if we don't, we can Impulse for one, and I think that'll be good. So we'll keep this and put back Gideon and just keep all our cheap interaction. In general, we just want our opening hands to have good mana and a lot of cheap interactive spells, and then we draw into the Planeswalkers in the mid to late game. So best draw would probably just be any red source. I guess Sacred Foundry to have double white, because I don't think we have any needs for double blue. Which is too bad. If we did that, it'd probably mean our deck was better. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the best deck. We don't have Fractured Identity. We don't have any, like, big card draw blue Planeswalkers other than one Teferi. I guess we have solid counter magic and cheap interaction, so that is important, but our top end is not incredible. Alright, come on, Redland. We have a 5 in 33 chance. Ooh, okay, that's great. It's all actually it's interesting. We definitely want to play here. There's no reason to play one of our other lands, but we would love to hold up Remand next turn. And if we library, we cannot do that because we have to library before playing a land. So that's close. How afraid are we of just falling way behind here? Oh man, we definitely could fall way behind here. Hmm. This is such a moment of truth. Well, we could also hit a red source, which would be huge. Then we could just draw a card and then kill one of these and set back their mana development. They only have 2 cards. Let's see. Also, if we play Remand, we probably should just hold up Remand and Impulse because either one of those cards will not take a card out of our hand, and so we'll be able to library next turn and use one of the others and use like basically the other spell. So we'll do that. It's sad not to library here, but I think that's the disciplined play. If I knew my top card was a mountain or a red source, then I wouldn't take this line, but it's not likely to be a red source. And so we'll remand pretty much anything that they can't replay immediately. Oh, they really have a lot of ramp. They only have 2 cards, but this is a situation where I would rather this be an actual counterspell. Also, we're way away from it, but I would love a board sweeper. A Fire Confluence. Okay, 1 Power Stone is fine. Oro is also fine. Okay, so they just have nothing. Just a lot of mana. So we'll end a turn Impulse, and then on our turn Library, play a second land and hold up Remand in case they draw something big. But it would be hard to remand something. They have so much mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, most things they could probably recast. No red mana, unfortunately. There is an Elspeth Conquers Death, which is good against their deck. I think it's mostly between Tundra and Elspeth Conquers Death, and I'm actually going to take this. I think having answers to big things that they could draw into is going to be pretty important, and it's pretty likely we'll be able to find lands drawing extra cards with this library every turn. Alright, well, famous last words. So we are going to hold up Remand, and then we're just going to ice something random end of turn if they don't play anything we want to remand. They're a long way away from escaping this. This is way better in base blue decks than base green decks because base green decks just play the board way more. So that can find Ancestral, but remanding it, I mean, actually, I guess if we remanded it, then they can't replay Ancestral. So we probably will just remand their Ancestral if they play it on their turn, and it doesn't accomplish a whole lot, but hopefully helps us hit lands, and it also just does deny them the card draw this turn. That was a great draw for them, though, for sure. Alright, so hopefully we hit a land in our top 2 draws. There's a land, not the best land, but still a land. So if we use library, if we use library, we don't have up snap remand, but I think that's fine. Oh, whoops. Oh, actually, wait. Yeah, that's fine. We just play Island Pass. I don't think we want to play Glen here. I do wish we could and use it, but that's not the case. So we'll just pass and plan on just playing. Actually, would we rather hold up snap remand or just ice their Gaia's Cradle? Probably better to ice the Gaia's Cradle in their upkeep. And we'll draw a card first, just in case they like in response Ancestral and then counter our ice. We want to make sure we can get that card draw in. We have no cards we can cast here, so we'll bluff. I think they're more afraid. They'll be more afraid of us bluffing a white removal spell than a Spell Pierce or something. Do go for the Ancestral in response. They have a ton of mana and they just drew a bunch of cards, so that's not great. They definitely could do some pretty busted things this turn. Remand. That is totally fine. I mean, it's scary if they can use that mana for something huge now, but that's not the best use of Remand on a 2 mana instant. So hopefully we can find a white source. 4 mana. Oh, okay. Eternal Witness for Ancestral. All right, that's good. Yeah, they had like no cards, and now they have a whole hand. It's a very good string of draws for them. But we still have a library. Library easily beats Ancestral if we're both playing spells that are on the same power level. Otherwise, the thing that just scares me, they could just play like a Crater Hoof or some huge Planeswalker. They just have such a mana advantage that, like, look at our hand. I'm sure our hand is better than theirs, even after playing 2 Ancestrals in 1 turn. But we just can't use it all very effectively, whereas they can, probably. So hopefully we find a red source. A little bit unfortunate we still haven't. Or a white source. I mean, just non-island. Oh, man. Okay, so I think we're just going to play Glenn and hold up a blue mana here. Not ideal. There's a lot of creatures they could play that would just kill us, but our mana situation has been horrendous here. We have pretty good fixing, so it's definitely unfortunate. We have 2 fetch lands and 3 shock lands, so hopefully we can draw one of those. They could also just Crater Hoof us and win easily. Oh, okay, that's not that threatening. I mean, they'll do some damage. I actually think I kind of want to trade with this Eternal Witness here. As weird as that may seem, yeah, I think I am going to do that. I don't really have the mana to just hold up a bunch of blue mana every single turn, and we just have so many things we want to be doing with our mana, and I want to preserve my life total a bit. Like, we just taking 5 every turn is not super sustainable. Okay, so we can kill that if we ever draw a red source. Question is if we want to upkeep library. I don't think we do, because we can just play Snapcaster if we break on the land. Oh my gosh. So I think I am just going to there's a lot of options here. I really, really do want to hit land at this point. So I think I'm just going to play Snapcaster and then use... let's see. I'm going to Snapcaster Impulse for a land. Oh, man. There's actually so many different lands we could take here. So brutal that we just keep on breaking it. We definitely got punished for not taking a Tundra on turn 2 over this... or taking this over the Tundra. We could also just play Teferi and plus. Yeah, I think I actually am going to do that. That's... We'll have to discard hand size likely, but yeah, I'm going to do this. I just really, really, really want to draw a land. Okay, thank God. It's not a red land, but it's nice not to have to discard hand size. We can actually use library again because of the Teferi on tap, and we can, yeah, we have some stuff here. We can also ice something if we need to. If we do ice, oh, maybe it was greedy to get to untap the library. There's definitely an argument to just untapping 2 islands, but I do think using the library will be pretty good. Although we do have a full grip, it's good insofar as it helps us find lands. So we have 5 red sources in the deck, and we know that they're not in the bottom 3. So a quarter of the cards we can draw are red sources, which is nice, especially because we can draw so many cards. So it's pretty unlikely we don't get a red source on our next turn. Uh-oh. A lot of mana. Please don't tap 2 more for Crater Hoof. Dragon Lord Atarka. Alright, that's good. Hopefully we can find a Phantasmal Image. Nothing to be done about that, though. So, they can kill our Teferi even if we ice something. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I mean, they can definitely kill it. But that's fine. It still drew us a card, and yeah, I'm not too worried about the things they have in play. If we just draw lands, we can easily deal with that given our hand. We just need to draw those lands. Oh. Okay, that is very, very bad. We have an answer, but it's sorcery speed. Really sad that we don't have wear tear or disenchant right now. So also this is not a good answer because of their Trigon Predator. I guess we can Elspeth Conquer's Death. So we'll see what they do. We can ice something at the end of their turn, and maybe somehow have enough mana to use this Elspeth Conquer's Death, but that will probably kill us for sure. So we'll see. They just send one thing there, and then they have 4 things to tap, and we can tap down 1, so they'll have 3. So they could, if they tap 3 islands, yeah, I think we're dead here. So draw a card. Jeez. Ice down this. So if they tap our 3 islands and we draw Mox Jet, we have a chance here. Good to know about the opposition, though. I mean, I guess we could have anticipated. Oh, they're tapping our planes. Interesting. All right. I mean, that's definitely good. Now we just can't win. Yeah, I think we win this game pretty easily if we just draw our red source earlier, or like our white source earlier. But now we're just dead. There's no way we can beat this. We'll have no mana for the rest of the game. So yeah, it's such a frustrating card, opposition, but there's no instant speed answers in our deck, so I guess we could maybe draw Unexpectedly Absent. Yeah, that's our out, so we'll just go to discard. There's no real use in playing this Oblivion Ring because they can just kill it with this. They could it does mean they have to attack us instead of just tapping something, but we'll just go to discard and pitch this Chain Lightning that really never got there. Our red sources aren't great, but it's still pretty brutal to just not hit it for that long. So we'll Snap Impulse here. And they have 10, 11, 12 damage on board, so they can almost kill us in one hit. Finally hit a red source, but certainly too late. So discard Chain Lightning. I mean, yeah, even if we do find the Unexpectedly Absent, though, they just have such a big board, and I can't really imagine us getting out of this position. Oh, wait, actually, they just have us dead. They can just tap down our Snap with the Wall of Roots, and then hit us for 10, 11, 12, exactly 15. So we would concede. I just want to see what they're going to play. Oh, yeah, they have Frost Titan, yeah. So that was just not even close. That was pretty brutal. I do actually think if we had a reasonable draw with our lands, we could have won that game. But we just had so many spells in our hand that we could just never cast. Do we want more red sources? 5 is decent when we have this much card draw. We've really been flooding on blue sources, but I think that's, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's not even that many. I think this is the right build, and we just drew very poorly, and just need to hope that doesn't happen again. I do actually want Repeal, though. It's another instant speed answer to opposition. And Containment Priest probably doesn't do much. We haven't seen anything that is good against, so we'll cut that. Well, we got a red mana here, and all of our red cards. Definitely a keep. This is a great hand. So this can find our Hallowed Fountain, and then we won't have double white, but we'll have double blue, double red, single white, and we can cast a lot of stuff with that. Interesting that they don't have 1-drop. So the question is if we want to ice their land in their upkeep, or hold up mana and just kill something. But I think given that we have Teferi and we want to hit land drops, we're just going to ice their land. This will probably prevent them from playing a spell this turn, and then they'll play their Rofellos, which I'm guessing they have next turn, and we can just deal with it then. So we just want to draw lands and get this Teferi down as soon as possible while preventing them from ramping their mana. Plains was an excellent draw. Oh, alright, so Gideon Juro. We're just gonna hold off on fetching for as long as we can just to slightly increase our chance of drawing lands, I think. Yeah, this is getting Tundra actually, so there's no life loss reason to save it. So we'll just pass and probably it's actually close between end of turn Lightning Strike versus on our turn Chain Lightning. So there's their fellows that we knew they had. We could also get Sacred Foundry with this. Yeah, we're just gonna untap. I would love to be able to go Chain Lightning this and then hold up Lightning Strike and Lightning Strike whatever they play, so we can play Teferi on an empty board. We did accurately predict their Rofellos, and I do think they're gonna mulligan most hands that don't have a turn 1 or 2 accelerant. I guess they could have had like a Devoted Druid, but they did have Rofellos, and it's very nice that we were able to kill it so easily. So, big turn here. Hopefully they just play something we can Lightning Strike, like if they just tap out for a Trigon Predator. We haven't seen any counter magic, and I don't anticipate them having much. Okay, Uro's fine. Hopefully they don't put an island into play. Yeah, that'd be a bit awkward if they did have counter magic, but I'm not too worried about that. Okay, nice. Then they play some... Yeah, this worked out perfectly. I don't even think we need to fetch any... Like, we have double blue and double white, so we're actually just going to fetch our mountain here. Just preserve life. I think our mana situation is good. Now we untap, slam Teferi, and that'll start going to work very quickly. Ooh, this is sort of a nice combo, too. We can minus Teferi to tuck something and then play Flickerwisp to reset this back on 4 instead of being at 2. And we definitely want to play Teferi over Gideon. Like, attacking them for 6 is not really our plan here. The reason we like Gideon in this matchup is because it can, mess with our creatures and kill their creatures and stuff. And on an empty board, we would definitely just rather draw cards. Interesting that they have this long stop on our draw step. I think it's doubtful that they have a draw step effect here. Oh, they just lost connection. Okay. Flickerwisp is also good against Uro if they ever escape that, because when it enters the battlefield after being exiled, it did not just escape, so it would go to the graveyard. I mean, they do get to draw a card from it, so that's not great, but I'd rather them draw a card, gain 3 life, and put a land into play than have a 6/6 that can do all of that every turn. So, Plains, Teferi, and this is pretty sweet because, as I mentioned earlier, this deck's weakness is it doesn't have a ton of sort of power card draw, and Teferi is our one card that does do that, so nice to have that in play. One tap, double blue, just bluff the mana drain or counterspell. Teferi Gideon is a pretty nice combo for sure. We do need to be somewhat wary of opposition stuff. Like, that's always just a way they can win, but if we have a Gideon and a Teferi in play, I think we can control their board reasonably well. But, like, a Deranged Hermit here would be annoying, though. Although, actually, not even annoying. We can just Fiery Confluence it. That's why we lost last game. We could never cast Fiery Confluence. Eternal Witness, get back Rofellos. We could just be really nice and Flickerwisp their Eternal Witness for them, but I'm not feeling that charitable. So this is not the best use of Fiery Confluence, but there's a good chance we're just going to end up hitting them for 4 and killing their creatures. That's a good draw. It's a very good draw. Yeah, we are going to do this. Rofellos just adds so much mana, and I don't think they have it, but we'll play around Spell Pierce. 1 damage to each creature, 4 damage to each opponent. Yep. So now we can hold up Impulse plus Remand, which is sort of nice. And then next turn we'll very likely be playing our Gideon. But when you have a Planeswalker on board, especially when it's a Planeswalker that draws cards, Remand becomes great. Also, Remand is great against Uro, although it'll probably be getting used before that. Turns out their deck is a bit less formidable when they don't have Ancestral. Alright, that's actually a reasonable draw. This game will go long, so I think we will have a chance to use that. So I think we would take Elspeth Conquers Death over most things here. Do we want a land or a repeal? I think we want a repeal. I definitely would not be upset to hit a land here, but we don't need to, and we still have 2 draws to hit it. Alright, yeah, there it is. Alright, definitely glad we did not take a land. So we will slam this Gideon. +2. This Teferi is also starting to threaten Ultimate, which would definitely end the game. Don't care about opposition when just drawing a card can exile any permanent. So now they can play their Sun Titan, and we can't really stop that, but that's fine. Sun Titan isn't even that scary. It'll just get soaked up by Gideon pretty easily. And then what'll likely happen, I mean, this could change, but my guess is that we'll +2 Gideon. They'll hit Gideon down to 4. We'll -2 the Gideon to kill the Frost Titan, and then flicker the Gideon, bring it back up to 6. So 4 free loyalty. We'll probably just tap one of my lands. Oh, okay, tap Gideon, sure. We're not going to be attacking with that anyways. Alright, well, we have 3 lands on the bottom of our deck. You wouldn't know from the top of our deck. +2 targeting them. And just pass. I guess I'll play the Mox Jet. No real reason not to. We're wasting our untap lands, and in fact, I'll just be nice and untap 1 of their forests for them. So we do have enough mana to balance this Frost Titan. We can pay 7 plus the 2, but alright, well, there's Ancestral. Their Ancestral is certainly better than our Ancestral, but our Teferi is better than their Ancestral. The only way we will repeal is if they deal with our Gideon somehow and then can attack Frost Titan into Teferi. But assuming that if we ultimate Teferi, we'll just instantly do it. It's nice if you can keep your Teferi around, sure, but they definitely cannot beat that ultimate. I mean, if we were at like 2 life and they had a massive board, they could, but given the current situation, they can't do it. So Frost Titan coming in at Gideon. I guess tapping Gideon again. Tapping one of our lands. Alright, sure. Oh no. Yeah, I think this game will be pretty much sealed up here. I mean, they could have a way to kill this with like Beast Within. We could repeal our own thing in response, but then it just wouldn't be at 8 loyalty anymore. But my guess is that they don't have an answer, and we can just ultimate this and then just repeal something and exile the Frost Titan and then start going to work on their lands. If you've never ultimated the Teferi, it's just, you just win immediately. I've never lost after that. Oh no, that's annoying. Man. So, I actually think I'm just going to repeal my own Teferi in response. It just denies them the card draw. I think that's a bit better than just, like, holding the repeal. Alright, drew Glenn, that's good. So, wow, we have a lot of things here. No Planeswalkers in the graveyard for Elspeth Conquers Death at the moment. We have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. So, that's exactly enough to play Teferi and Glenn, but then the Elspeth, or the Frost Titan is around, and I think we do want to get rid of the Frost Titan, so I think we are going to do this, unfortunately, even though it means we can't do all the things we want to do. And now we cannot play Flicker Wisp and Glen if we flicker our Gideon. This is pretty close, actually. I think we're just going to play Teferi and not have Glen up for the turn. I think just getting our Teferi going again is worth it. Manleak, it's not great, but it could potentially be good. They have 9 mana, so we can Mana Leak a 7-drop. Yeah, that's... I mean, they could have Avengers Zendikar. They just play an opposition. Oh, no, they're playing Uro here, sure. So that resolves. And then we could... actually, no, we definitely want to Elspeth Conquers Death, or flicker our Elspeth Conquers Death now. The question is if we want to do that this turn, or play our Elspeth Conquers Death this turn. I kind of think the answer is yes. Yeah, we probably should do that. We could also Teferi Tuck it. At this point, we can't really Teferi Ultimate because by the time he's up to 8, we'll have drawn at least 6 cards, and we just won't have that many cards left in our library. Nice. Mana Leak. Getting value. So, I think we are just going to Elspeth Conquers Death this, and play Glen, and then... Oh, is our Ancestral coming off this turn? Oh, no. Alright. So, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe we should just Teferi Tuck this, actually. Yeah, I think that's better. We don't really need more cards in hand, and cards in library is a real consideration, and we're drawing 3 cards next turn. So I think I would rather just get a clock down and make sure we can kill them before we mill ourselves. So we will play this Gideon. Now we should have so many Planeswalkers. We have a pretty quick clock. Play our Glen, which shuts down a decent amount of their cards. Hit them for 6. And yeah, this seems like a pretty good position now. We can counter any non-creature spell. We can Elspeth Conquers Death most creatures. The Range Hermit is a bit annoying, but... Actually, yeah, the Range Hermit would be pretty good. Phantasmal Image would be a nice card to find. So I believe... Oh, no, I think we have shuffled. Yeah, we have shuffled since we put some cards on the bottom of that early impulse. Ooh, Woodfall Primus. That's bad. I mean, it's not terrible. We still have lots of Planeswalkers. They'll probably kill this Gideon if I had to guess. Actually, don't really know. I can imagine any of these 3 Planeswalkers. But we do have a pretty clean answer to it. And actually, no, this isn't even bad at all. Elspeth Conquers Death can just bring back whatever they kill. Unless they really play around this and kill our Mox. I would be surprised if it was Teferi. My guess is this will hit one of the Gideons. Unless they forget that we're going to draw 4 cards this turn either way. Better late than never, I guess. We are deep in thought here. Which is fair. It actually is a pretty tough decision. So, if they take this, we hit them for 9. If they take this, we hit them for 10. Either way, easily a 2-turn clock. And we still have up... I mean, next turn we'll plus Teferi, and then we can -3 Teferi on any permanent. We can flicker our Elspeth Conquers Death. Although, importantly, this comes back at the beginning of your end step. So, unfortunately, we can't exile something immediately. Although, I guess if our goal is just to exile it immediately to push through damage, we can just flicker whatever they have. Not as great long-term value, but when you're bringing them to 0, you don't really need value. Oh, they lost connection to the game again. Okay. Alright. Bye-bye, ally. So, I mean, that can chump, but I'm not too afraid of that. So, we are going to have a few cards in our library. I would love to draw a Phantasmal Image to copy this. Okay, no Phantasmal Image, but we can still lock down one of their blue sources. So, we will plus here. Library. Funnily enough, we actually can pretty much use that, but we're not going to at this point. Land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Elspeth Conquers Death. Signet, sure. Johnny Vengeance. I think I actually am just going to kill this. Actually, no. It's probably the discipline play is to plus on this. They could have upheaval. We haven't seen it yet, but they could, and that's definitely one way they get out of this. And if they did upheaval, it would be very hard for us to win before we ran out of cards in library. Oh wait, we still have Glenn. Whatever. I still think it's probably smart to lock down an island. Like, killing the derogatory speaker does not do anything. And 2 islands. You never know what could happen with 2 islands in this format. Alright, they still have their blue mana. I guess I probably should have countered that. Yeah, I should have countered that. But I do not regret my choice too much. So are they just playing Uro? I don't know. Opposition. Tireless Striker, sure. Can't really imagine what they could have to get out of it at this point. We'll see. Because we also have a Lightning Helix available. You have a Tuck, a Lightning Helix. Yeah, that will be going to the graveyard, my friend. I mean, we probably could beat it resolving here, but if there's a way that we do lose, okay, yeah, they knew it was up. All right, sweet, 1-0. That was a tough matchup. Definitely some back and forth, and that's a matchup where we really regret not having Wrath of God. So that's definitely a flaw with this deck, but that's fine. We were able to get there with the Fiery Confluence. We have a 100% win percentage, or 100 win percentage in games where we cast Fiery Confluence, and a 0 win percentage in games where we don't. We'll see if that continues to be the case here. Alright, won the die roll. That's a great place to start. Oh, our mana doing us dirty again. This is... I should probably ship this, right? I mean... Just Gideon into Gideon is very, very good in a lot of matchups. But we need to draw lands to make that happen. Yeah, I think we can ship this. Alright, this hand is probably better, although, oh man, our mana has just been so bad very consistently. We'll put back Gideon, I think. This is really close, actually. None of our cards are castable, so that's not great. I think we are going to put back Gideon. If we're behind, Elspeth Conquers Death is good, and I think 4 drops are better than 5 drops when in the situation, but yeah, I'm actually very surprised at how horrible our mana has felt very consistently. Like, every single game, it's been bad, I think, and we have a good mana base, I think, so weird. I am going to lead on this. If we're playing against Burn or like some aggressive deck, then our life total will be very relevant, and we definitely need to get our Sacred Foundry here. Okay, against Island, we're definitely just going to keep this in play. Alright, come on, deck, give us those lands. There's non-islands ideally, but we'll take islands too. Jeez. Maybe there should be an 18-land deck. Although, again, like, our curve is low enough that with good fixing, we shouldn't need that. I think it's just bad variance that we've had such horrible mana very consistently. Alright, so that's a pretty clear counterspell that they didn't play that last turn. I mean, they could have drawn it this turn, but I definitely am operating under the assumption that they have a counterspell. But despite that, I'm going to jam. like, we could just play Drago for a while, and if we had more lands, we would do that, but Drago does not favor us at all if we're missing land drops, and they're not. So I think this is the right play. And we're going to take Sacred Foundry here, and I think we would rather our second white than our second red. We do have more sources of red mana in our deck, but I still think just like that's literally our only double red card. I guess we could also just Fiery Confluence this, but Fiery Confluence will be better later. So we'll go for this Ajani. Mana Leak? Miscalc, okay. Yeah, like that was going to be good against us no matter what. And we would definitely rather them, like now, if they just tap out for something and we draw a land and Elspeth Conquers Death, that's great for us. And we even have Flicker Wisp to recur it. But hopefully we can draw the land. Sure. So they got some artifact stuff going on here. I think that should be good for this Fiery Confluence. Karn, okay. Are they going to plus or make it 3-3? Make it 3-3. Alright, so big draw here. If we hit a land, I think... Oh, brutal. Well, actually, no. We should just Flicker with that 3-3, I think. It's not good. I would definitely rather save this, but we have so many cards. Like, we're not going to... Or so many, like, expensive things. I just want to use our mana effectively. And this can also pressure Karn fairly well. Now they have to plus Karn to keep it alive. But, obviously, like, very backbreaking that we missed the land there. We'll give them Island, I think. They'll give them Island. There's a chance they need the Island, but they already have 6 mana. So I think it's better to give them the land than the spell. Come on, land. We've really had a lot of mana problems, and I want them to end here, please. We could just tinker here and end the game. Okay, so red source, red source, red source. Come on, deck. Give us the red source. No. Oh, come on. Come on. Alright, well, now they can use their Kuldotha Forgemaster and probably kill us. I mean, a lot of things they get, like if they get a Inkwell Leviathan, that will just win. If they get a Blightsteel and we draw a land and they don't have a counterspell, then we can deal with that, but that's a lot of ifs. I am just amazed at how bad our mana has been. Ooh, okay. Do not want them to have upheaval. It would be very good if we could kill this card now before they get a chance to get that back. I honestly want to add an 18th land. Like, it feels like it could be a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but it's like we have double red, double white, and we have a Library of Alexandria in our deck that's a colorless land. At least on the play, I think we should. Like, it's just so hard to isolate what actually is smart from just how I feel based on this small sample size of games. But every single game, we've won more lands and better fixing. There hasn't been a single time where we've gotten really flooded. Like, I guess we got sort of flooded last game and it was fine. Like, we easily, or not easily, but we won when we got flooded, and we've lost, or we will lose this game because we're not drawing our lands. Like, think of how amazing, we would just be in an absolutely dominating position if we had hit our 5th land drop. We could have Elspeth Conquered Death this, and then, like, flickered it, and exiled something else, and resolved to Fairy, maybe had Fiery Confluence. Like, it would just be over. And instead it's still over, but in the other direction. I'm not going to concede here. I'll let them take the turn. It's super unlikely that we can win, and they can get to a point in a bit where they can just recur stuff. Alright, so they can Oblivion Ring or Flicker Wisp. That's really all they can do there. That's not that bad. And actually, that's not even horrible, because then we can at least start with it and play after upheaval, which there's a good chance will be coming down pretty soon. I just hate losing to Massacre so much. It's definitely my least favorite part of the game. I would much, much rather get Mana Flooded than Mana Screwed. So assuming we lose this game, which I do think is almost inevitable, we don't have a ton to sideboard, unfortunately. Definitely don't want Wildfire. They might be playing Wildfire. Containment Priest could be good, although they didn't. If they were called out the Forge Mastering for a creature, then that could be good, but they just got a Mindslaver. So honestly, I think we're just gonna run it back, or maybe bring in a land and cut Chain Lightning. Actually, yeah, we'll probably do that. So bye bye Flicker Wisp. And now we'll see if they go for the upheaval. Actually, they probably won't. They don't have that much mana right now. But we have no way to kill the Karn now. I mean, well, we have Elspeth Conquers Death, but actually, yeah, that's reasonable. So if we ever manage to draw the red source, we can just kill the Forge Master, deal 1 to each creature, and deal 2 to them, and then they don't have a ton going on, but we do need to deal with this Karn pretty soon. Words cannot describe how much I want to draw a red source. Also, actually, we have very few red sources in our deck now. Maybe I should have a mountain, because we've gone through. So I've been saying how there's actually, yeah, I don't think we have any more red sources. Oh no, we have 1 Steam Vents, and I think that's it because both of our fetches are gone. I've never got that. Like, you know my hand, you know I don't have any instants, so tapping the Sacred Foundry does nothing. But whatever. But yeah, so we actually only have 1 red source in our deck now. That's sort of a flaw. Yeah, we should actually just have another mountain for sure. I didn't really realize that I was counting these fetches as red sources, but that does not help at all for getting double red. And also because of that, we should have probably fetched a second red instead of a second white there. We also didn't know that they had the artifact thing going on at that time. They had not played Factory or Academy. They just had 1 Signet. Okay, come on, land. Come on, land, please. Well, I guess first they'd do their Karn thing and probably play some other scary thing. You can have a Signet. That's fine. Alright, big draw here. I think we're, like, pretty much just dead if we don't hit it this turn. Uh-oh. We also can't beat many big artifacts that they're playing here. Wurmcoil. Okay. No, yeah, that's bad. We finally hit our land, but is it too late? We cannot Elspeth Conquers Death the Karn. We can Elspeth Conquers Death the Wurmcoil Engine. But then we take 6. And I guess we'll do it. It's definitely our only possible path to victory. I really wish we had Little Teferi here. If we had Little Teferi and we drew a land, we could bounce our own Oblivion Ring, flicker our Elspeth Conquers Death, and then play Oblivion Ring on something else. And then this would come back and we could exile another thing. And then we would just also have a 3-1 in play. 3-1 flyer. But unfortunately we don't have Little Teferi in our deck, so we'll fall to 4. Oh, they gonna get another big artifact with Forge Master? That's scary. I wonder what they could be getting. I guess they can just get whatever they get at the end of our turn, so it would be very hard for us to interact with that. Oh, no, they're doing it now. Yeah, that'll slam the door shut, unfortunately. So they got their Upheaval. I would love if they cast that, but I do not foresee that occurring. Yeah, so we're dead. We can survive for 1 turn, Gideon, but that does not give us a path to victory. Alright. So, I mean, yeah, I think that game was entirely lost just from our mana, so we'll really hope that that doesn't happen again, and we'll hedge against that. This is going up to 20 mana sources, so it feels a little knee-jerk, I have to admit, but I don't think Chain Lightning does anything really, and none of these cards are particularly impressive, and again, like, it's just super important that our mana works. Like, against their deck, they definitely snowball pretty quickly, and we just really cannot afford to stumble like that. Let's lead on the library. That would be fun. Let's do that. If we didn't have so many free red sources, we could also just go straight blue-white. But, like, are you kidding me? We're playing so many mana sources. I think we are going to keep this. We're definitely going to keep this. Ancestral and Impulse is good. Impulse can hopefully find us. Find us a red or white source. But it just does feel ridiculous how consistently we've had really bad mana. Non-island. Or non-island land. Alright. Actually, so I'm actually going to play Mox Jet Impulse now because I would love to play a Ajani Vengeance next turn, and we can only do that if we hit back-to-back red or white sources. What? How? How does this keep on happening? We'll take the Glen because it's the only card that's even close to being castable. Yeah, I think we'll take the Glen, but put all these cards that we absolutely do not want to draw to the bottom. And so now we have 16 lands in the next 28 cards, so well over half of our cards are lands. That's a good sign, I guess. There's a Lodestone Golem. Come on, land, so we can Oblivion Ring that. Truly ridiculous. We went to 18 lands for that. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm being negative. This is frustrating. So if we draw a white source, we can play Ajani through their attacks and then -2 to kill their Lodestone Golem. So that would be pretty nice. But there's a good chance they will just be too far behind by then because they'll play something else here. This is exactly what I'm saying. We're like, if we could have interacted this turn, like dealt with that Lodestone and then untap and use Ajani or whatever to deal with their next play, then we're in pretty good shape. But we just stumbled, and they just snowball. That's just how it goes. Smokestack, yeah, that's not what we want to see. White land here. White land. Unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. Well, we'll get our Glen in play. We definitely just want to have as many permanents as possible, and we will not be chumping here because Glen is going to give us some hope against Smokestack. They stack their triggers right, so points for that. No, I believe, is Ancestral coming in this turn? Okay, we do have to pay 1 for that, which is annoying, but there's, like, I think I'm just going to concede on the spot if we draw either 3 islands or no lands. Not even because it's impossible to win from there, but just out of principle. Okay, wait, there's a lot of things that would be very bad for us here. Delta Forge Master is not really one of them. Okay, so we're going to sack our Glen. We need all our mana sources because we cannot rely on drawing them, that's for sure. We're drawing 4 cards there. So the chance, seems like it should be basically guaranteed that we hit something here. We're good. There we go. Finally found him. So we have a couple options here. I think the best bet is just to Ajani this down, though. We could also Oblivion Ring, like Smokestack or Cold Off the Forge Master or something, but I think the Smokestack will actually have a real cost to them here. We deal with this permanent, and then it'll be interesting if we want to jump block with the Glen here. Oh. If we could have drawn these lands earlier, if we could have had 1 extra land in play this turn, had Ajani in play last turn, this would be such a different game. I think we would be vastly ahead if we had hit our 4th land drop there, like after impulsing, but could not make that happen, unfortunately. Actually, I think I slightly misplayed there. I probably should have fetched and gotten Tundra because now that we have so many lands in our hand, we do want to draw those spells that are all on the bottom of our library. So we'll correct that this turn. Although I also don't want to shock, and I do want to get red, and so if we, I guess we could just fetch a mountain probably at this point. So they sack their workshop. That's interesting. I mean, it probably makes sense given their hand, but I'm happy. But if they just play Artifact and then get Inkwell Leviathan, that will be very hard for us to beat. So we put it up to 2. I think that's good for. We have way more permanents, so I think that's good for us if they are still leaving in play. I am going to chump here if they attack, and I hope they attack, and then we can lock it down with Ajani. Okay, they did not. So it looks like they are going for the Inkwell here. So we can't really Oblivion Ring anything profitably here. Actually, yeah, that's good for them. We have to sack 2 permanents, and then they don't have to sack the 2 permanents because they'll get their Inkwell at the end of the turn. So how do we beat that? I don't think we can is the short answer, but if there is a way, what is it? We have no ways to interact with Inkwell Leviathan in our whole deck. I think we're going to sack Glen and an island. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. Unexpectedly absent. Okay. So we're just going to play. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no way we can interact with this ability. I think we're just going to play Land Go. I mean, Oblivion Ring, all 3 of their targets are pretty much bricks. I mean, we could do it now, and then we could plus our Ajani, but that does not accomplish much. So if they get something other than Inkwell Leviathan, we can unexpectedly absent it, but that seems unlikely. I mean, maybe the Inkwell is in their hand. We just have to hope for that. No such luck. Alright, so that's unblockable and untargetable, so it's pretty hard to imagine a way we win. We can Gideon plus. Yeah, again, I mean, this game was just entirely because we missed those land drops. Like, if we were able to Ajani their Lodestone Golem on turn 3, then we could Oblivion Ring their Cold Out the Forge Master on turn 4, and then they wouldn't have this in play. They would just have the Smokestack, but we would have a big advantage in permanence. We could be using Glen to counter future plays, and it would pretty much be like unlosable from that position. But instead, this is where we are. Never skimp on lands, kids. That is the number 1 way you lose. Never, ever skimp on lands. I guess I will just get him out. I mean, it doesn't matter. We've lost, but who knows? If they misplay, click through like 3 turns in a row, we draw perfectly. Maybe. I guess we'll take Flicker Rush because Elspeth's Conqueror's Death does nothing, and Gideon. Nope. Alright, yep, that's game. Well, frustrating. Frustrating just to be consistently losing to our mana base. So now we need to decide for match 3 if we want to go with 18 lands. And, like, I kind of do want to. We should definitely be playing one more mountain. I do think that's the case. I'm gonna go this way. Like, we do have the Mox too. I really do think that it's just been like negative variance. We're playing 18 mana sources that, I mean, 19 if you count the Signet. So I really think this is just negative variance. Like I said, more than a flaw in deck construction. Although it was a flaw to not have basic mountain, I think. But yeah, it's been brutal. All right, great man of this game, can't lose. I would wager millions of dollars on the fact on us winning this game, even though we're on the draw against Galactic Toad. No 1-drop. No 1-drop. We have 1-drop. And it's a bummer that we don't have a removal spell. Oh. Oh no. Do we flood this game? Are we just gonna draw mono lands? Probably. But you can't win them all. This is a good hand. Like, hopefully they just have a lot of mana accelerants and a couple of counter spells can really mess them up. Ooh, that is tough. That is definitely not. Wow. Okay. All right. I guess this is what happens when you end up in the loser's bracket. That was just a horrendous turn. Like, they obviously did not mean to do this, and why would they ever play Den Protector face up here? We will counter most things here, but depending on what it is, it may be a Remand and maybe a Mana Leak. Technically, our Fiery Confluence streak is still alive. We're now 0-3 when we cast it, or when we don't cast it, and 2-0 when we do. So, we're fine taking a couple hits here. Gideon will clear up these guys pretty well, I think. No play. Does not seem like a winning line. We're just gonna fetch this to thin out our deck, and not super relevant, but there's no reason not to. And we'll just pass, holding up counterspell still. We can just take 3 for a couple turns and hit land drops up to Gideon. That's fine. Especially if they're missing land drops. Alright, fall to 13. Not great, but Mono Green doesn't have the best reach. It's very unlikely they'll be playing burn spells, so I feel somewhat okay at a lower life total, although we do want to watch out for Questing Beast. Channel. Ooh. So, yeah, we should just land like this. I was thinking about trying to get snazzy and remanding whatever they do, and then not having enough mana to replay it, but that's just too risky. Like, if they just play Karn, they could easily recast that, and we'd be in very bad shape, and yeah, that seems not wise. So now we have up Snap Mana Leak or Remand. We could also play Phantasmal Image, but I don't think that's very smart. So our plan is to Snap Mana Leak, untap Gideon, minus on their Den Protector, and we'll have Snap in play to defend Gideon. And if they don't play anything, I think we'll still Gideon, probably, but I do hope they play something. They probably have one huge colorless uncastable, but they have 2 other cards, so hopefully one of them is like a Biogen Fuse or something. We're not going to do this here because we have plenty of lands and these are good cards. But something you can do in this position, if like we really need to hit land drop and we really want to cast a remand, is you can cast your own Snapcaster and then remand your own Snapcaster, just to basically turn this into a cantrip. Not a great play, but sometimes you got to do it, and it's just nice to be aware of. All right, so no play. Okay. Having drawn that, we actually are just going to take another hit, and that is because I wouldn't want to take 2 more hits and be at 4, but we can now play Gideon and hold up Remand next turn, so that only means 1 more hit. Plus, this turn we can hold up Remand, Snap, Leak, or Remand, Snap, Remand. Not that I think that's super relevant when they don't have that much mana, but yeah. Alright, Edric. Would we rather Remand this or Mana Leak this? I think Remand. Actually, no. We should definitely Snap Leak because we want to make sure that we have access to a counter spell next turn. It is a bit awkward if they have like some big planeswalker now that they they can get through, but I think getting our Gideon into play and holding up a counterspell will be a pretty backbreaking play. So Snap Leak, got a remand, but really do not want to be using it this turn. And that's not smart. Do not do that. Oh, that's also not smart. Alright, yeah, I think our opponent may not be the most skilled here. So we're going to play land and Gideon and kill this Noble Hierarch. And now this says with power less can't block it, so our Snapcaster can block it because it will lose Exalted. And so that's pretty sweet. They probably won't attack this turn, but then we can plus Gideon and force them to attack and trade off Snapcaster with one and then minus Gideon to kill the other. So Gideon will really be cleaning up all these small creatures. Coalition Relic, I think that is worth just remanding. We could wait and remand whatever they play next turn, but yeah, I think it is worth it. So no attacks. Oh, that will be good. Plus, and they can tap their Avacyn's Pilgrim for mana, so they don't have to attack with that, but they will have to attack with a Den Protector no matter what. And then either way, the Avacyn's Pilgrim will be tapped on our turn, and we can minus to kill it. It is scary that they probably have a huge colorless threat in hand, just as evidence from the channel. So we are going to prioritize taking their mana off the table. Alright, they don't realize that they have to attack Gideon with everything. So we're going to be minusing the Gideon here, so we might as well just trade off with the Den Protector to save 1 loyalty. Even though this is the creature we care more about. And we could Elspeth Conquers Death this Coalition Relic, but I think that's not necessary. I mean, hopefully we just draw a spell that we can cast instead. I actually think I am going to Oblivion Ring it. The reason being, we have another answer in our hand, and this just unlocks a lot of things, and like the main reason, or not the main reason, but a reason why I don't want to use Elspeth Conquers Death here is that I want to get more value out of the reanimate thing, but okay, yeah. So they'd had enough. That's fair. They had a good start, but we had a couple counter spells that sort of messed them up, and they missed some land drops and got stuck with some stuff in hand, and yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. All right, definitely want this Lightning Strike. Do we want anything else? Containment Priest, again, could be good. We don't know their exact build, but if they're like, they could have up to Natural Order, Tooth and Nail, Green Sun Zenith, and Finale of Devastation. And if they have 2 of those, this is a good card. If they have 3 or 4, it's great. If they have 1, it's fine. So I guess the question is, what are we cutting? And the answer is, I don't know. It's really close. I guess we'll cut Elspeth again. He's the least impressive Planeswalker. We haven't drawn it yet. That's sort of funny. And I think for the last cut, it's between Repeal, Containment Priest, Flickerwisp, and Recruiter of the Guard. And they're out Recruiter because I just think that's as good as the best one of those other creatures. These two do work well together. Yeah, we'll cut a Repeal. Alright, let's get that turn 1 Ancestral. Now, I do want to say, we're going to end up with a 2-1 in this draft, I think. We could have trophied. We had the option of trophy and chose not to because I wanted to switch it up a little bit. But if we had just been mono white, we easily could have trophied. And so, again, let me know in the comments if you want me to just purely try and maximize trophies, even if it means doing my 4th mono white video, or if you want me to branch out a bit. We'll keep this. It's awkward that this Windswept Heath cannot get Steam Vents, because that's clearly the land we want the most. And right now we're not really sure if we want red or blue more. So we'll see what we draw. Ooh, okay. Now we want blue more. even though we can't cast this as Ajani now, but just suspending Ancestral on turn 1 is really good. So most likely we're going to want to Recruiter for Containment Priest and then do the Containment Priest Flicker Wisp combo to mess them up a bit. Ooh, alright, that's scary. Unexpectedly Absent would be our best draw here, followed by a red land. Oh, alright, Mana Leak actually might be better than... Unexpectedly Absent would probably still be better, but Mana Leak is very good. So we'll definitely leak a lot of things here. I mean, they could just channel Emberpool us and then we'll lose, but they could also slam Primeval Titan and Mana Leak will be very devastating. Okay, that is just not a very good card. Not scared of that. It's good in some formats, but not really here. So now they have 5 mana. Seems like a good thing to Mana Leak. Yeah. Oh, actually, no. We're not going to Mana Leak this. We're just going to Flicker Wisp that. That's definitely going to be a nice exchange for us. It's a bit like Mana Leak. It has a fairly short shelf life if they have a Repellers in play, so hopefully we can get the Repellers out of play. But this is just such a good interaction for us that I think it is worth going for. Ooh, okay. We are still going to Flicker Wisp this. I guess that's... We could just take 7. I think that's fine. And if we get rid of the Repellers, that really narrows down... Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to Draw Step, Unexpectedly Absent this, and then next turn, Flicker Wisp this. Like, I would rather take 5 this turn than let them cast potentially like a 10-drop next turn, or this turn. So, this is worth it. And then we definitely want to draw a land, but even if we don't, we have a good play. And then the turn after, we'll get our Ancestral and definitely draw a land. We take 7, fall to 12, and then Flicker Wisp cannot block this Dryad, unfortunately, but 2 damage is not particularly scary. So this is a big turn here. If they play, like, land Vivian Reed, that would be bad. That would be quite bad. But if they just play, like, land go, or land go, that's good. Don't cast something bad. If you play, like, Avacyn's Pilgrim, that's fine. Cool picture. I like this. Planeswalking to Theros. Good thing that my picture isn't up here, so it's blocked. Alright, that's not what we want to see. 5 mana. Looks like it's an X-Spell. Green Suns for 4. Finale for 3, sure. You could get like Courser. Tireless Tracker. Tireless Tracker. Alright, that's some value. Alright. Big draw. Let's hit that land. Come on, land. Nice. Not the ideal land, but just hitting a land is good there. Now we have Elspeth Conquers Death next turn, and we're still Flicker Wisping this turn. I think that's definitely where we want to be. Could also Flicker the Clue, but that's definitely not correct here. So, hopefully, what do we want them to draw, though? Like, I guess we want them to draw Mana Accelerants. If they draw a land, we can't block their Tireless Tracker anymore, which would be annoying. And then we would be taking 7. Okay, so, yeah, we're taking 7. That's bad. And our Ajani Avenger can't kill that anymore, but we can still just Elspeth Conquers Death it. And then, oh man, lots of lands. Good with Tracker. I actually think we might just chump block this now. Especially if it becomes a 6-power creature, like going to 4 doesn't seem great, and we can just get it back in a bit with Elspeth Conquers Death. So, good call to Finale for Tireless Tracker. That certainly paid off for them. So we are just going to chump here, and we're sort of assuming we're going to hit land off these 4 draws. If we don't, we're almost definitely just going to lose, but we probably will. Okay, nice. Elves of Deep Shadow is acceptable. So now, this is actually going to be sort of sweet. Land. Nice. So we can Elspeth Conquers Death this turn, and then Next turn it'll go to 2, and we can play Recruiter of the Guard to get Containment Priest, and then cast Containment Priest, and then when this goes to its third chapter, we can get back Flicker Wisp and kill something for good. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. No reason to play the Mox Jet right now. So they have a lot of mana. They could play some scary things for sure, but they only have one card in hand, and it could even be land. So now this turn, I think we're going to want to. Oh, actually. Oh wait, no. Okay, yeah, this does work. Sorry, I was worried. I was thinking, okay, if we Containment Priest and then Elspeth Conquers Death back to Flicker Wisp, it'll just get exiled. But because this comes back at the end of the turn, that's fine. We can just this will be gone and then play the Containment Priest in our main phase. Ooh, good thing we got rid of the Tireless Tracker before they played the fetch land. So we draw, this goes to 2, and then we're almost definitely going to Ajani Vengeance to minus on this, and then play Recruiter of the Guard. So, let's see. Cast the Mox. Oh, wait, actually, no. This is what we're going to do. This does turn off our synergy with the Flicker Wisp, but that's fine. We're going to Ajani Vengeance and minus on this, and then fire and kill both of them. That definitely seems better. Just dealing with a 4 toughness creature. We do have to shock, unfortunately, and we can have a mana leak, but I still think that's worth it. Shocking is not too bad when we just gain 3 life, and mana leak is fairly unlikely to matter. And so now we're going to get back. Actually, maybe that was wrong. Honestly, we probably should have just plussed Ajani on the Dryad now that I think about it, but I think we're still in very good shape. It is annoying that we can't really get any value with this. Although I guess we can just put 1 extra loyalty on our Ajani, so that's something. So we will play Island, play Recruiter of the Guard, get probably Snapcaster Mage, although I guess we could just get Phantasmal Image. Oh no, definitely Glenn actually. Yeah, definitely Glenn. Cast Glenn. We don't have a mana leak, but Glenn can handle a lot of different threats, and we have a reasonable clock now. We have 7 damage, so that's a 3-turn clock, and I mean, there's some scary things they could get. Oh, actually, no, not quite a 2-turn clock because Ajani's at 3 instead of 4, but I think we're in a pretty good position here. I'll note this is a game where we've sort of flooded, and that's not a problem. I definitely think flood is not as bad as screw for this deck. See, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 of our 19 mana sources. So not even that many more than average, but definitely not going to counter Fast Bond. That's not scary. Good with Courser, but Courser is not in play. Ooh, Finale. Okay, that, yeah, no, actually, well, yeah, we should just Finale this. Like, we could also, Glen this. We could also just Glen that, but there's no need to do that. Like, they could just hold it and make it more awkward for us later, so. I mean, I guess if they held it, we could also hit them harder, but that's fine. Alright, mana leak, not exactly what we wanted. So we will hit them for 6. And then keep their forest tapped down. And then we'll just Helix the next 2 turns and kill them in 2 turns. Four, 5. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely Glen this. That Glen Lunder was really good. So we have 5. If we draw Fiery Confluence, we just win. Dang. Looks like we might actually get a dub without needing the Confluence. So we hit for 5. And then we do need to Helix them because otherwise we hit them for 5 again next turn. They go to 4 and we can only bring them down to 1. So we will do that. Alright, now they have 7, 8, 9, 10 mana, so we can Mana Leak an 8 drop, which is actually potentially relevant. I mean, Ugin would be a really good card for them. Craterhoof doesn't do it, but Woodfall Primus would be solid. Alright, they fetch. That's maybe scary. Does that mean they're using all of their mana? Although, actually, no, they're using all their mana. Ulamog! Wow, okay, well, Mana Leak is definitely good here, but that's something. So, I wonder what they'll hit. Probably Flicker Wisp and Johnny. But yeah, definitely happy we have this Mana Leak. Was not expecting it to be super relevant here, but it was. So now they're dead in 5 turns. Happy we minus Johnny last turn for sure. Although, actually, wait, they couldn't have cast that otherwise. Well, Oblivion Ring is maybe going to be good, but not good yet. So we'll just hit for 1 and pass. Play in the waiting game. Hopefully they don't top deck something crazy that gets them out of this. Coalition Relic will not do it. Nice. Oh, that's so perfect. I'm really happy about that. Destroying an artifact and dealing 2 to them. Or 4 to them. Alright, sweet. So, close out the 2-1. Not the best deck. Solid 7, like I said. That might have even been generous. It was probably closer to 6 than 8. But definitely a solid deck. The match we lost was really to just missing land drops, even when we went up to 18 lands. So that was frustrating. But that's a part of Magic sometimes. You can try and control it with stuff like Impulse, but sometimes you Impulse and still hit a bunch of double white cards when your only lands are 2 islands. So that's frustrating, but it happens. Yeah, even though we couldn't get the trophy this time, I do not always get trophies. That's just a fact, unfortunately. I still had fun, and hopefully you did too, and thanks for joining me. Hopefully see you tomorrow.